Previously on Faded to the Dark Elf.
Did I interrupt your work?
Nothing serious. I was reading up on an old prophecy.
Delia, I'm so sorry.
You're going to just leave?
Did I get your knickers in a twist?
My father knew Cyrus, Thorne's father.
Delia, I don't think that's a good idea.
Thorne knew. He knew everything. He lied.
Chapter 26. Delia. I tuck my shoulder as the cool night air envelops me, the air whistling past as I fall from the window. My shoulder barks as I make contact with the roofed patio below, rolling to absorb most of the fall. Anulu gasps above me, and as I right myself, I see her head poke out of the window. I lift a finger to my lips, reminding her that we need to be absolutely silent, and motion for her to follow. She hesitates for long enough that I'm not sure she's going to, and my broken heart cracks a bit more at the thought of having to do this alone. Then, Anulu clambers out of the window, hanging from the edge of the windowsill, before dropping down to the roof below with a hissed, "Ouch!" I slink silently along the heavily shadowed edge of the rooftop, making my way carefully to the trellis and shimmying down to the back lawn. Anulu follows me, limping slightly on her right foot. If I wasn't so bent on the path before me, I might feel bad for forcing her into this situation. But I need her. I can't accomplish what I need to do alone. With Anulu a few steps behind me, I sprint across the lawn, taking care to avoid any of the better-lit areas until we reach a smattering of trees around the side of the sprawling manor. "Don't take this the wrong way," Anulu pants as I slow to a stop behind a thick tree trunk. "But what in the abyss are we doing?" "We're going to the dark market," I say coolly, glancing over my shoulder at the manor, looking for any signs that our absence has been noticed. I find none and turn back to Anulu, her jaw slack in horror as she stares at me. "I'm sorry, we're going to the dark market," she repeats incredulously, her voice becoming shrill. I shush her, and she looks around hurriedly before leaning in to whisper to me once more. "Have you lost your mind, Delia? This is a really bad idea. You were brought there, and now you want to go back." "We have to," I reply simply, before breaking into a light jog toward the path that leads back north. I hear Anulu huff her annoyance over my shoulder, but soon enough, I hear the light fall of her footsteps behind me. "Why? Why do we have to go back there?" Anulu asks, suppressing a shudder. "Because I need supplies," I tell her. Anulu seems to have had enough of my evasive answers because she picks up speed, practically throwing herself in front of me and forcing me to stop. "Delia, please, just give me a straight answer. I'm here for you. I want to help, but only if you tell me what's going through your head. I'm worried about you." I sigh, my anger waning as I look into the face of my friend. I know she means well, and if she doesn't want to be involved anymore, I'd never force her, but deep down I know I need her. The idea of being alone in the wake of everything that's happened is too much to bear. But she deserves to know what she's getting herself into. "I'm going to kill them. All of them." Anulu's eyes go wide, and her mouth opens and closes around silent words. Unable to look her in the eyes, to stand there while she passes judgment on me or my plans, I move around her, settling back into a jog. My chest tightens as I notice the absence of Anulu's footsteps behind me, but the pang in my heart quickly turns into fuel for the fire raging inside me. I don't care if it's wrong. I don't care if Anulu is better than me, kinder than me, smarter than me. I'm going to kill them. Thorne and Cyrus both, and then when I'm done with them, I'll hunt down my father, and then I'll kill him too. They deserve it. I'm so lost in my fit of rage that I hardly notice Anulu beside me, matching my pace. When I look over at her, her face is set in grim determination. "You don't have to do this," I tell her as we jog beside one another. "No, you don't have to do this," she says, giving me a hard look. "But I'm not going to make you do it by yourself. I hate this, Delia. I really do. This isn't who you are. It's not who I am, I admit, facing forward again, but it's who they made me. Silence falls between us as we make our way to the market, and by the time we arrive, we're both slick with sweat. Somehow the market seems even busier in the dead of night, lights and the distant sounds of chattering and yelling bleeding into the night air. We circle around the outskirts, staying out of sight, until I spot a nearby stall with thick, dark cloaks hanging right outside. I bide my time, waiting until the owner of the stall disappears from view before darting forward and snatching 2 cloaks. Even the dark elves appreciate anonymity in a place like this, and that suits me just fine. Anulu and I don the cloaks before moving closer to the market, the heavy hoods obscuring our faces. We push through the crowd, Anulu clinging onto my hand as if it were a lifeline. "Delia," she whispers, fear permeating her voice. "It's okay," I reassure her as we pass a body stall, humans naked and lined up in front of it for purchase. "We have to do this. I have to do this. We'll leave soon, I promise." "We could just leave now," Anulu offers, but I can hear in her voice that she knows how futile that point is. I shake my head in lieu of a response, delving further into the market and doing my best to avoid any of the flesh vendors that might recognize me. "I need your help," I whisper to Anulu as I pull her into a shadowy alley between stalls. "I can't buy anything here, or else they'll notice that I'm human. I need you to purchase things for me." Anulu gulps audibly. "There's still time to stop and think about this," she says as she accepts the coin purse from me. "We don't need to rush into anything." "Yes, we do," I dismiss her. "I'm going to motion beneath the cloak at the items I need. I just need you to do the talking." Anulu sighs but nods, making to duck back out of the alley and into the populated path when I grab her hand. "Anulu?" She stops, turning to me. Her face is obscured by the hood, but I swear I can feel the hope coming off of her in waves. "Thank you, really, for everything," I say. Her shoulders sag slightly, but she squeezes my hand in response before we duck back out into the market. By the time we're headed home, my pockets are heavy with supplies. Various poisons clink softly in my pocket. 2 daggers are secured at either ankle. Hidden armour hugs my chest softly beneath my tunic, and an enchanted protective ring glints on my finger. The sky is beginning to lighten softly overhead, the inky black of the night fading at the edges to a soft, deep grey. The manor stands tall against the lightening sky, a shadowy fortress that grows ever larger on the horizon. "Delia?" Anulu asks as we walk toward the manor, her voice gentle. I stop, turning toward her. We've spent most of the walk in silence, and I expect her to try and talk me out of my plans for the umpteenth time. But Anulu surprises me. "What's your plan?" she asks. There's no judgment in her voice, no hint of reproach or disgust. Her question is a genuine one, although it's laced with worry. "I don't know," I admit with a sigh. "I just know I have to do this. I'm tired of being a victim, of letting people use and hurt me. I can't let them get away with it anymore, or else a victim is all I'll ever be." Anulu's eyes shine with unshed tears as she pulls me into a tight hug. Even knowing what I have to do, shame bubbles in my stomach. I don't want to be this person. I was always such a happy child, even when I was lonely. I want so badly to just be happy again. But I don't know how to be anymore. Not with all of this hanging over my head, with everything my family and Thorne and his father have done to me. I won't be able to even begin to heal until they're all gone, wiped from this planet. Anulu releases me, giving me a long look before exhaling slowly. "I hope you change your mind," she whispers softly as we look at one another. "Me too," I tell her with equal quiet, my voice wavering. I take a deep breath, looking back toward the manor. We need to make it back inside before anyone begins to wake up. They can't find out where we've been. "Go back to your room and get rid of the cloak," I tell Anulu quietly. It goes without saying, but don't tell a soul where we've been. I'll tell you more as I figure everything out. Annalou nods, giving me a final long look as she reluctantly slinks into the shrinking shadows, heading back toward the far servants' wing as I edge back toward the trellis below my room. I shimmy up it, trying my best to stay quiet despite the extra weight hanging on to every bit of me. It takes me longer than I'd like to make it back to my open window, but finally, I'm there, sliding through the opening and closing it behind me. The coming dawn spills into the room light enough to guide me so that I don't need a candle. I grin, glad I don't have to risk that. I turn toward my bed, readying to begin shedding all of my extra weight, when something makes me pause. I'm not alone in this room. I have no time to take a harder look at the dark figure standing in the corner before they fly at me.
Chapter 27. Thorn. Sir! The voice rings out clear, but I can't place it. I turn around in the gardens, which are empty and dimly lit. I don't see anyone, but my heart is racing. Delia? Was she here with me? Why am I in the gardens? Sir! I recognize it now. It's my Zagfer. Sure? Sir, please, you are urgently needed. Something about his words break through the rest of my sleep-fogged brain, and I jerk upright with a gasp. I blink, looking around my dark room. My brain is still racing, trying to piece together the images that are rapidly fading, and trying to understand how much of my dream was fictional. Ushur is standing at my bedside, his eyes roaming my face frantically, and I realize that something is truly wrong. What is it? I croak out, my magic flaring as my heart pounds harder. Behind him, the sky is barely starting to lighten. It's early, too early for his news to be anything but bad. Delia is missing. I fly out of my room with little conscious thought, pulling a robe on as I tear out of my room. My heart is hammering, and I keep hoping he's wrong. I've never felt fear like this as I skid to a stop at her open door and see a neatly made bed. And no, Delia. She's not in the gardens? I gasp, knowing Ushur followed me here. No, sir, we've scoured the grounds, and we cannot find her. How long? My voice sounds broken. I barely recognize it. When he doesn't answer immediately, I whip around. How long? I shout. We've known for 3 hours. My magic flares. She's been missing for 3 hours, and I've been asleep, not out there searching for her like I should have been. I wanted to search the grounds for her before waking you. I know she likes to go outdoors, he quickly explains. But my anger doesn't quell. I have to turn away from my loyal Zagfer before I strike him down. She couldn't have gone far, I growl out, my eyes tracking across her room. There has to be something here that will tell me where she's gone. She couldn't have just vanished into thin air. I start with her drawers. I go through each one meticulously, digging through the contents but finding nothing. I move to the wardrobe, and again, there is nothing out of place. I feel frantic as I check the bathroom, the vanity, the desk, and even under her bed. It's getting harder for me to breathe, and I can feel Ushur's watchful eyes on me. I don't want him to see me growing so upset over this human woman. She's supposed to be a tool for me, and while I keep trying to tell myself I'm worried about losing the one who may be able to help me unlock the prophecy, I know that the fear coursing through my body is a little too intense for it to be just that. I stand up, looking to the Zagfer. Fetch me breakfast and bring it to my study, I tell him. As I expected him to, he nods his head and scurries away. Left alone in her room, I flick my wrist so that the door shuts. No one can see me as I sink down on the mattress, inhaling her scent and letting my worries roll over me. I don't know how I am going to find her. My tracking magic is the weakest of my abilities, and the few attempts I've tried have a hard time registering her signature, since she does not have any magic I've mastered. I sigh, shifting, and something crinkles. Again, I move, cocking my head to hear the faint rustling sound. My eyebrows pinch together as I stand, turning to face the bed, and I lift the mattress up to look between it and the frame. There I spot a small stack of letters. I swipe them, my eyes roaming over the outside. I spot my father's name immediately, though the handwriting I don't recognize. Where would she have gotten these? Tearing them open, it takes a moment for me to realize just what I hold in my hands. Letters. Yes. But they aren't addressed to Delia. They're addressed to my father. The relief that she hasn't been sending lovers' letters to Ignola is short-lived as I unfold the parchment further. She is a strange girl. Her presence alone makes my wife very uncomfortable. The child has become too curious. I think she may have discovered the truth. I've had enough, Cyrus. I can't even call her my child. She'll belong to the market within the week. The name at the bottom is obvious. Craig, Delia's father. Upon reading further, everything becomes more and more clear. Her father sold her to the dark market to protect his trafficking business. The very business my father has apparently been involved in. That bastard. I sigh heavily, pacing across the room. My father has once again upended my life through his mere existence. These correspondents are damning, and now they've sent away the one person who could help me reach my goals. The one person I could have. Soft rustling draws my attention, and I look up in time to see a cloaked figure climbing in through her window just before the dawn breaks. A slight figure that I can only assume must be Delia, and in my excitement, I leap for her. She whips around in time to block my advance, and I'm stunned as I slide back, her magic hitting me in the gut like a physical blow. The hood falls back from her cloak, and I expect her to relax when she sees it's just me. Instead, I see fury in her eyes. I'm not even on my feet again when another wave of her magic pulses out. I manage to deflect this time, coasting along her elemental skills with my chaos magic. I let the wisps of my power flood the room, but they don't affect her. For dark elves, chaos magic is toxic. For Delia, it's nothing more than a gentle breeze. It catches me off guard, and her next blow hits me hard. I tumble backward to the ground, throwing up a shield as I try to regain my bearings. Delia! How could you? She screams, her magic intensifying. Did you know? Did you know when you bought me what your father had done? Did he set me up for you? I shake my head, trying to press against her advances, but the fury in her veins was fueling her magic. She was a natural before. Now, she's becoming formidable. No, I knew nothing when we met. Liar. I slam into the wall, hard enough to make my head ache. I've been nothing but a pawn to everyone. A wave of magic so intense it makes me nauseous hits. I refuse to be used any longer. I slam my foot into the ground, letting my fear from earlier pulse through me as I break through her attacks. Still, she doesn't flinch, and I don't understand why my power has no effect on her. You aren't a pawn to me. You've done nothing but manipulate me. Her voice, though strong, portrays the pain she must be feeling. We were supposed to help each other, Thorne. You weren't supposed to use me. Her words hurt more than any of her advances. But I was too foolish to see your true intentions. I won't help you anymore. I want nothing with you but revenge. Her anger flares and her magic rips through the room. I so rarely use my magic to this extent that I'm already feeling the strain as I try to repel it. Revenge against you, your father and mine? Your parents are already dead. I scream as I struggle against her attack, my mind too focused on my magic connection to filter my words. Her magic falls, and with it I realize what I've said. Still, I didn't expect her to be terribly upset about it. What? Delia's voice is breathless, and her eyes fill with a sadness I didn't expect. I almost feel guilty for causing her this pain, but I can't fathom why she wouldn't want them dead after everything. They're dead, Delia, and you should be glad for it. The idea of what her parents did makes me seethe, and I clench my teeth as I spit out. They aren't around for you to get revenge on. They've reached the ultimate place of punishment. I know it's terrible that they were so horrible, but you can't just run off because you are mad. I'm heated now, fueled by fear and guilt, and something else that I can't place. It's curling in my stomach as I look at the tears forming in her eyes, and I don't even think before I spit the next words. Your parents didn't want you. So what? That's life. You need to move past that. You are mine now. Her eyes go from sadness to anger in a flash, and I'm shocked at how quickly my body flies across the room. It seems that while I intended for her life with me to be a bright spot, for her to see that I chose her, she's not pleased with the comparison. And when I crash into the corridor just outside her room, the letters still clutched in my hand, my own anger flares. I bring her here. I train her. I protect her and feed her, and I don't force her into anything, but she isn't happy with that. What more can I do? I leap to my feet, my magic flaring as I grow angry. I draw on my rage like a well, and I stalk toward her open door, my jaw set as I glare at her. I've let her throw her tantrum, but this is enough. My parents have never wanted me, and I haven't thrown her across a room because of it. Get away from me! Delia's magic pulses as she screams, but my anger makes my power overwhelm hers. I break through the attack without a thought, but when I lift my hand, ready to throw her back and show her who she truly belongs to, that I am not the elf to be so flippant with, something peculiar happens. My magic recoils. I've never felt this before, but no matter how I try to command it, I can't attack her. I've only been able to protect myself, but each advance I've thrown toward her has faltered. Panic cripples me. In 1 month, we're leaving for Osiris, and my mastery is faltering. What is happening to me? I look at Delia as I try again to attack. My magic fizzles at the ends of my fingers, showing no indication of working against her. It's as if my magic refuses to harm her.
This huge orc brings out the animal in me.
In a world where humans have been driven underground, living like rats is the only way to stay safe from the marauding orcs.
All my life, my only job has been to make sure I have enough to eat.
These orcs of the Burning Sun clan will vow to keep their human mates safe.
There is a nobleness to these giant savages, alpha male warriors who will protect their women at all costs.
Get this complete series of books following the Burning Sun clan for 70% off. Each book is a full-length monster romance that features a giant orc with eyes for his beloved, curvy human. Happily ever after guaranteed.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
This bundle will show you that size really does matter.
Chapter 28. Delia. Confusion seeps into my bones as Thorne stands there, staring at me. What's wrong with him? It seemed as though he was prepared to punish me, but stopped at the last minute. His fists are clenched at his sides, jaw ticking with frustration. "This isn't over, wife." He spits, turning on his heel and storming out like a child in a tantrum. The slam of the bedroom door echoes in the room. Fine. In fact, good. Let him deal with his problems elsewhere. I have my own, and they're largely his fault. At least I think they are. To be honest, at this point I'm no longer sure who deserves the largest share of the blame. I also don't care. There's plenty to go around. I pace my room for hours, unable to calm my rattled nerves. My thoughts go in a tired loop, much like my feet, a circle that I never seem to break out of. My father had only seen me as a tool that he thought would further him in life. In the end, he decided that he'd have the most success by getting rid of me altogether. I never meant anything to him, beyond what I could bring. Thorne is no better. At least I thought that he was being honest about that from the start. But he promised that we could benefit from each other. And now I know that he's just using me the same way as my father. I still don't understand how, exactly, but the end result is all the same. What I really don't understand is how Thorne somehow convinced my father to get rid of me so that he could exploit me for his own gain. Or why, if that was his plan all along, did I have to stay in the market waiting for him to buy me for an entire year? What sick game was he playing? It doesn't matter in any case. The fine details will only bring his disgusting scheme into sharper focus. I'm not sure that I can deal with knowing any more. What I've learned already has left me vibrating with a fury so overwhelming I can hardly contain it. Anything more might send me over the edge. That is, if I'm not already there. The only thing that settles me, even slightly, is when I remember the goods that I bought earlier. There's a smug sense of satisfaction every time I think of the poison now in my grasp. Finally, I will have the last laugh. The idea calms me, even when I have to steel my heart to embrace the idea, because there's a small knot in my stomach that turns at the thought. A little voice in my head reminds me that Thorne, at least, let me live. What he did is wrong, but wouldn't killing him be just as wrong? And that's always when spiteful, angry Delia rears her head and reminds me that I'm doing the only thing I can. I've been kicked around and abused like a barnyard animal my entire life. It stops now. Nice Delia, who tries to make excuses and leave room for understanding, is the reason I keep getting hurt. Nice Delia, who trusts too easily, is the one leading me toward heartbreak at every chance. With my father, with my mother, and now with Thorne. There's nothing to be gained by kindness because it skirts too close to weakness. I'm done being weak, and angry Delia is here to make sure of that. I just have to make sure that she doesn't lose ground to niece Delia. In fact, it's time for niece Delia to die with the rest of them. But first, I'll start with Thorne. I slip the vial of poison back into its secret hiding spot, feeling annoyed that I've missed yet another opportunity. I've carved out a little notch on the inside of one of my books where it can remain undetected. Day after day I pull it out, swearing that it's for the last time. Day after day it ends up back in the same spot, untouched. My original plan was simple. I'd poison him in a subtle way, and he'd be dead long before anyone got suspicious. If they ever did. It would be easy to convince them all that it was an unfortunate case of food poisoning, brought about by his last meal. But he's onto me, obviously, which makes my plan a bit harder to pull off. He's been avoiding most of our meals together, and I think that he has Mekshido bring him food in private instead. He never leaves a drink unattended these days, and if his cup leaves his hand for any reason, he throws the rest out. I guess I shouldn't have been quite so vehement about wanting him dead the other day. My temper got away from me. Though I'd still argue one could hardly blame me for my display of anger, now he knows that I wish him harm. Which means he's on guard against it. I could give up, of course. I nearly have, many times. I've walked the damn vial out to the garden, intending to dump the whole thing out. Once I considered flinging it off into the woods. I even wondered if I could burn it in the fire, but I was afraid of the fumes. But I try to tell myself that it's only the old Delia talking, the weak one. Deep down, this is the right punishment, and he deserves exactly what I give him. It's only fearful, pushover Delia who tries to steer me out of it, but she's a dim-witted fool that deserves to be ignored. Besides, even if I wanted out, it's too late. He's expecting me to come for him. Sooner or later, someone's going to find evidence of my plot. I'm going to be the obvious one accused, and the fact that I didn't go through with it won't spare my life. I've accepted him as my enemy, and now I can only respond in like. He's probably conspiring against me in the same fashion by now. It's a matter of who draws first blood. I can't afford to keep being naive and childish, forever blind to everyone's ill intentions. It's time to assume the worst of everyone and offer the worst of myself. I just have to straighten my spine and do it already. I need to get this over with before I lose my nerve. Having to think about it over and over after every failed attempt is messing with my head and testing my already shaky resolve. It's clear that poisoning him at dinner is too obvious. I sit down on my bed, pondering a new plan of action. How do I get to you? I mutter. I need to do it at a time when he assumes I don't have access to his drink. He's avoiding eating and drinking at meals because he knows I'm right there and may have tainted his food. But if I could just get in at a time when he thinks he's safe. I wonder if I could sneak into the kitchen and alter what Mexido has prepared for him. But it seems too risky, as there's always staff around. Besides, would I be able to know for certain what portion was Thorne's? I have no reason to poison the Zagfer, and certainly wouldn't risk Analu's life. No, that's out, I quickly determine. There are too many variables, too much that can't be known. I need to alter something that is Thorne's, and Thorne's alone. And then it occurs to me, his study. That's his private sanctuary. Lately, especially, he's gotten quite strict about no one being allowed in there, for any reason. If I can sneak in without being seen, he'd never suspect a thing. He's quite confident that the study is his oasis, completely undisturbed. If he's going to let his guard down anywhere, it's there. And I can guarantee that he'd be the one to ingest it, without having to fear careless mistakes. There's no chance that anyone else would accidentally be exposed to the poison, because he's the only one who ever goes in there. Finally having a real plan in mind, I feel a little giddy at the idea of finally being done with my revenge. I also feel a little nauseous. I push it aside, getting ready for bed. It's too late to enact my strategy tonight. I just want to go to sleep, instead of thinking about it anymore. Then I can wake up in the morning and get it over with. I finally tumble into bed. The sheets are cool against my skin. I lay there uneasily for a while, tossing and turning. I try to tell myself that it's just because I'm waiting for the bed to warm up so that I can get comfortable. A small part of me knows that I'm already wrestling with a guilty conscience, wondering if I'm doing the right thing at all. But finally, exhausted from worrying, I fall asleep. My guilt seems to bleed through into the dreamscape, giving me the worst nightmare of my life. I'm wandering in the dark, in a nondescript place that doesn't seem to be anywhere really. Everything is just nothing, as far as the eye can see, black and void and endless. No matter how much I walk, I might as well be in the same place I started. Nothing changes, or stops, or ever reaches a conclusion. I just drift, until she stands in front of me, blocking my way. I've never seen her before, though her eyes look familiar. She sneers at me, her face twisting with hate, and lets out an ear-piercing scream. "Do I know you?" I cry, but she doesn't answer. When she lunges, I try to run away. She's in close pursuit, and I can never get far enough to be rid of her. Once again, everything stretches on, ceaseless and black, like being in a tunnel that I can't escape. She tries everything. She grabs at my throat, choking me. I shake her aside, and then she pulls out a knife. When she drops that, she tries to hurl a rock at my head. I dodge each attack, but for how long? Quickly it becomes clear that I'm just going to run, forever and ever, with this nasty harpy of a woman trying to kill me. There's no place to go. Eventually I'll tire, and she'll catch me. There's a conscious part of my brain still working that knows it's just a nightmare. It tries to tell me not to panic because I can't really die. No one dies in a dream. But it feels so real and so vivid that it's hard to take the chance. Because what if, somehow, it isn't a dream at all? It doesn't feel like one. It feels like it's happening somehow, in some other world or dimension. Like when Thorne talks about his chaos magic pulling the threads of reality apart. I feel like I fell into a hole that he pulled open. Finally, not knowing what else to do, I turn to confront the woman. Whipping around, I stop suddenly. She stops as well, eyeing me with those creepily familiar eyes, and grinning like a wild animal who has spotted their prey. "What do you want?" I demand, breathless. "What is this? Who are you?" Her grin stretches wider, but there's only malice behind it. "You don't know me," she admits, "but I've known you all my life." My blood goes cold, looking at the hate in her eyes. Who is this woman? And when I wake, I still don't know the answer. But my magic stirs, telling me that she is someone to fear, and I stay awake, wondering just who she is. And is she coming for me?
Prothika is a dark and dangerous world.
My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
And the quest for godhood has made it even darker.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
Delia only seeks her freedom.
A gilded cage is still a cage.
But Thorn has something else in mind for her.
It's her. She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
Will they be able to escape their fate? Get every episode from worldsofprothika.com right now. Get the series bundle and score a 70% discount. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this series is just the beginning.
Chapter 29. Thorn. You aren't eating, I whisper at the glass of my window. I'm perched on the ledge of my sitting room so that I have a glimpse of some of my land. From here I can see the heated springs and waterfalls that Delia will swim in. It's the only way I can really keep an eye on her without getting too close. The deadline pounds in the back of my head. 3 weeks. 2 days away. We will leave then, and looking at Delia right now, I'm not sure she'll live until then, much less be strong enough to go. She won't practice her magic with me, but it's less concerning to me than how little she's eating. My mind drifts back to our fight and the way my magic fizzled out. That's the last time I was near her. Now I've resorted to sending servants to spy on her and watching her from a distance like she's a stranger and not my wife. I still don't know why my magic wouldn't work that night. It refused to respond to me, and I've been practicing with it over the last few days just to be sure that she did not somehow strip some of my strength. With a thought, I light all the candles in the room, and with a flick of my fingers, they're all blown out. It's a trick so trivial to me that I barely feel a drop of magic used, and yet, for others, it's hard to master. It only proves to me that she has taken none of my abilities. So why was I unable to put her in her place? She had no problem attacking me. I sigh heavily as my gaze goes back to Delia. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm glad it kicked in. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I hurt her. In the moment I was upset, but I do not wish any harm to her. Perhaps my magic, the magic of the gods of chaos, knows better than I what would have resulted from such a rash decision. Instead, I found myself wanting to bring her comfort instead. And while I thought we were falling into a friendship, it has clearly been shattered. The sun shines down on her, but she doesn't tip her head back to soak it in. No, her eyes are on the ground, and the sun seems to reflect off of her pale skin. She's barely lifted her eyes to look ahead, and the few times she has, I've been able to spot the dark circles beneath them from here. Her cheeks look sallow, and her hair has lost its shine. She looks worse now than she did at that auction, and it makes my heart clench. I want her to be happy here, but I have a feeling she'd prefer to be at the dark market than in my manor these days. It's not just a blow to my pride, it's a hit to something tender in my chest. But if she wants to hate me, I can find a way to overcome that. What I won't be able to handle is her wasting away because of her anger. Sure! The Zagfer dashes in immediately. He's always near, waiting until I need something. Delia is outside near the waterfalls. Bring her lunch. I don't have to turn around to know he is hesitating. I've been watching her closely, walking the halls and sending servants after her. I know they offer her something to eat or drink every 2 hours, and rarely has she accepted even a drop of water. I'm certain they've already attempted to give her food before she went for her walk, and I'm sure that he doesn't want to admit that my staff has been unable to care for her despite their efforts. Finally, he says, "We have tried to offer her food already, sir. She declined." A lump forms in my throat. Try again. Maybe she's hungry now. The door clicks behind him, and I continue to stare down at the ground until I see him scurry outside. Anulu thanks him, and she tries to encourage Delia to eat. When she shakes her head, the Zagfer takes a glass of water and Ushura sets the food down near them. Delia won't even drink the water or tea that was brought to her. It's been like this since she's found the letters, and I'm growing worried. Fear gnaws at my stomach as I watch her fold herself in the grass, her eyes fluttering closed. I'm on the verge of force-feeding her. She looks so ill. If she dies, I cannot fulfill the prophecy, but even as I think it, I know it doesn't matter much to me. I've been thinking about the prophecy less and less these last few days, as I watch Delia and read over her father's letters to mine. Instead, I've been remembering how angry she grew when I pointed out that she was with me now. I've brought her somewhere she is safe, away from those that wished her harm, and she wants revenge against me. It shouldn't sting, but it does. I want her to be happy here, happy with me. And every time she deliberately avoids me, it hits me hard. Why do I care so much? I never expected this woman to get in my head this way. I went looking for a way to vent my frustrations, and I thought that finding a human with a natural talent for mastering the elements was fate guiding me. Now, I'm not sure what to think of my wife. Dragging myself away from my window, I go to my study. The letters are still there, as are my interpretations of the prophecy, but I can't stomach looking at either right now. Instead, I go to the adjoining sparring room so that I can practice my magic. I need to let it out, hopefully draining my energy enough so that my mind will quiet and I can work. But hours later, I realize that there is only one thing that can soothe all the thoughts buzzing about my head, and she wants nothing to do with me. I'm dripping with sweat by the time I decide that I should eat something, but I don't have to call Ushur. He appears in the doorway holding a pitcher of water and wearing a grim expression. "What is it?" I grumble, pouring myself a cup of water. "Sir, Ignola is here." I raise an eyebrow. "Escort him to my sitting rooms, then." Ushur winces before adding, "He hasn't requested to see you, sir. We discovered him in the gardens." My gut churns before he adds, "With Delia." My fists clench. She won't see me, but she'll see him. I've wanted her to be comfortable, but I don't want her to seek comfort in my friend. I'm her husband, for the gods' sakes. I should be able to see my own wife, not find out she's sneaking around with another man on my property. What are they doing? I grind out. I try to calm my racing heart and accusatory mind. She told me before that he is just a friend to her, but I fear that, in recent days, her opinions of him may have changed with the strain on our relationship. They are just talking, and Anulu is with them. She is ever present with Delia. Do you suspect foul play with Ignola? Usur's eyes dart away from me, and it makes my anger flicker. Tell me. I do not believe this is the first time he has come to visit her. We frequently spot Delia and Anulu going to the back corner of the gardens, and Delia is smiling when they return. At first I suspected a walk outside was helping her, but after seeing it is only when she's in the gardens I sent a servant to bring her tea. I believe this has been going on for at least a week. I nod, swallowing back the bitter taste in my mouth. My wife and my friend are meeting in secret. I should fear that they are plotting against me, or that Ignola is going to block my path to the prophecy by making her impure. But that is not what I fear. I worry that Delia is going to fall for him. As her husband, I do not wish for her to fall in love with anyone. But deep down, I do wish that, if she were to show interest in a dark elf, in a male of any kind, it would be me. It pains me to be away from her, and jealousy pours through me with the knowledge that she has been finding solace in another man's presence. I'm not sure how to bridge the gap between us, but I felt enough guilt over it. It is time for me to take action. She's with him right now? My words come out sharp. Ashore, swallow. Yes, sir. I grit my teeth. I've been up here trying to sort out how to get her to eat, missing her even, and she's been making a fool of me. I should be hurt. Instead, I'm angry. I may not be able to wield magic against my wife for some reason I still do not know, but I do have other power. This is my manor, after all. Shall we escort her to her room, sir? Caesar! I growl without thought. My rage is starting to grow into an unmanageable beast. I cannot have Ignola interrupting my plans, and I can't stomach Delia being with someone else. If she won't have me, then she can't have freedom to be with him. I've tried to give her everything to be happy, and it's not enough. Maybe I've been manipulated, my kindness seen as weakness. It's time she remembers who owns her. Sir, Monsieur stutters out, his eyes widening. Neither are a threat. We can interrupt their dispute. I gave you orders! I roar, and he flinches. I rarely lose my temper, but when I do, it is hard to rein in. She is my wife. These are my lands. You will do as I say. And I said to seize her.
From the depths of the darkness of Prothika,
Or clawing up from the realms of fantasy.
come the most fearsome beasts you have ever seen.
These monsters are done watching from the shadows.
Now, as they step into the light, something unexpected grips them.
Something even they can't fight off.
Love,
Vampires.
demons,
Dark elves.
gods.
Minotaurs. Creatures of light and dark.
They will protect their mates.
Do whatever needs to be done.
Morally grey heroes who will burn the world to protect the women who love them.
10 audiobooks.
Fall into over 60 hours of fantasy romance.
20 ebooks.
Over 1 million words of these brutes who will protect their women.
Even if they might destroy themselves in the process.
Get the immersive Prothika Fantasy Romance Bundle.
For 80% off, right now, dive into Prothika at a once-in-a-lifetime discount.
The first bundle to offer both ebooks and audiobooks on worldsofprothika.com. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this romantasy bundle will make it endless. Chapter 30. Delia. Being in Ignola's presence has become intoxicating. Not in the way that I feel warm around him, but this time, more than any other, my mind feels light. I'm giggling and I feel free. It's enjoyable to not feel weighed down by the weight of my life, even if I do feel drugged. Ignola freezes, and I turn to look at him. His mouth presses in a thin line. We're not alone. Before I can ask him anything, though, servants come running around the bushes to the back corner where we linger now. Their footsteps crunch against the gravel path, and their faces are twisted with urgency. I expect them to go for Ignola, getting ready to jump forward and protest, my muscles tensing in preparation to defend him. But then they come for me instead. They grab my arms with rough, calloused hands, shouting at me to not struggle as my body goes limp against them. The world spins, and I can't tell if it's from whatever's affecting my mind or from fear. "Stop! What are you doing?" I demand in a screech, my voice breaking with panic. The sound echoes off the garden walls, making me sound even more desperate than I feel. My feet slip as I try to find purchase on the smooth stones beneath me, and Analu protests at the way they drag me, her presence in my mind becoming agitated and fearful. The servant's grip only tightens as I thrash against them, their fingers digging into my flesh hard enough to leave bruises. I'm no match for their dark elf strength as I'm forcibly pulled back toward the manor, and as they carry me away, my eyes stay locked on Ignola's face. He did nothing to help me, just like my parents. I press my fingers against the window, gazing mournfully out at the garden below. I miss my walks in the garden, but since I was seized and pulled from them 3 days ago, I haven't bothered to return. My sanctuary has become tainted. I could go out there. Thorne hasn't forced me to remain completely housebound. Yet, anyway. "Are you ready to get dressed for the day?" Analu asks from behind me. I turn to find her waiting patiently in the doorway of my bedroom. Though her tone is unassuming, her eyes are wide and sympathetic. I know what she is thinking, that I must pick myself up and dust myself off, that I can't wander my bedroom in my nightgown forever. I suppose I spoke too quickly when I said that Ignola was the only one who has ever cared for me. Romantic love is, of course, not the only kind. Analu has become one of my dearest friends, and though it's purely platonic, I'd never be able to get through this misery without her support. In a way, Anulu's friendship means the most of all. I don't worry that she'll ever betray or abandon me, and it comes without the complications and drama of a lover. She's resourceful and quick-witted, and is truly holding me together in what seems to otherwise be a continual downward spiral. Yes, Anulu, thank you, I declare, trying to square my jaw and look less pathetic. She nods and enters the room. She rustles around in the closet, pulling out a dress for today. When she turns back to face me, she lifts the dress high, obscuring her mouth in case anyone is watching through the window. I gave Ignola your latest letter, she murmurs in a low voice. I didn't read it, of course, but he seemed quite touched. He's meeting me this afternoon to send a letter back. Thank you, Anulu. Suddenly, I feel so overwhelmed by so many contradictory emotions. I'm irritated and angry that I must resort to communicating with Ignola through secretive letters smuggled by Anulu. Yet, I'm grateful to have a friend who remains willing to help, despite the negative ramifications it could have for her. I'm tired, a problem that extends deeper than this incident alone. I'm tired of waiting for retribution from Thorne. I'm tired of being foiled by him at every turn, and I'm tired of trying to figure out what he wants from me. I'm sick of people using and abusing me, and yet my heart can't turn off the joy it feels to realise that not everyone will do so. No matter how many times I'm stepped on, I simply can't seem to make myself hard like that, but I really want to. I throw my arms around her. She's surprised by the sudden gesture, but relaxes instantly as I wrap her into my embrace. She holds me with one arm, the other hand tenderly stroking my hair as I start to cry on her shoulder. I don't even know what or who I'm crying for anymore. That's all right, she soothes softly. Let it out. You've got a good cry in you, I can feel it. She waits patiently, holding me until finally my sobs die out. I sniffle. I don't feel nearly done with my tears as much as that all I've managed to do is induce a headache. Let's start with a bath, she suggests. I nod dimly and go back to staring out of the window as she gets everything ready. I feel numb, too wrapped in my own darkness to see anything familiar. How did I get here? Where do I go now, when I can't see the way? Anulu leads me into the bath. I don't resist, but I'm hardly engaged in the task. She does most everything for me while I numbly go through the motions, following her prompts. It isn't until several minutes later that I realise I've somehow ended up in the tub, and she's now scrubbing my back for me. Something about the nature of her wordlessly taking care of me makes me start crying all over again. This time, I'm not a sobbing, sniffling mess. My tears are silent, tracking down my cheeks, but it feels like I'm bleeding out all my pain. Anulu pretends not to notice, allowing me to save face. She doesn't promise me that everything will be fine or offer meaningless consolation. She simply talks, as though everything is the same as always, as if my world weren't completely on its side. She jokes and teases and laughs, and eventually I find myself laughing through my tears with her. After a while, there's a silence. I search for a way to express just how grateful I am, but come up blank. Then it occurs to me, the one topic we've been avoiding. We've disagreed from the beginning, but I know she'll be pleased to learn about my change of heart. I can't go through with killing Thorne, I admit in a low voice. I can't do it. I don't have it inside of me, I suppose, no matter what he's done. Anulu pulls my hair back from my face. Good, she says, and the relief in her voice is evident. You shouldn't let him turn you into a murderer. I know you're upset that you've never owned your own life, but you can't fix that by owning him in death. I nod, feeling the weight of her words settle on me. I suspect that this is what she's been telling me all along, but I wasn't willing to listen before. Now, for the first time, they seem to make a lot of sense. It doesn't solve the greater problem that I face, however. You're right, I admit. But what do I do then? I have no control over how this plays out, especially if I resolve that I no longer intend to strike him. He may make the first move against me, never able to trust me. All of this has spun so wildly out of control, and though I've realised I can't go through with it, that doesn't mean that he'll believe me. She sighs and helps me out of the tub. Wrapping a fluffy towel around my shoulders, she leans forward so that our foreheads touch. Talk to Thorne, she advises seriously. Stop guessing at what's going to happen and just ask him. I stiffen at the thought, beginning to bristle again. I will not, I shoot back, my eyes darkening. He's the one who has caused all my misery, and you suggest that I politely just ask him to stop. That's the trick of it all. I scoff, making it clear what I think of her idea. Annalou smiles. Her eyes have a gentle reproval, and I know she thinks I'm just being stubborn. But she's unwilling to push the idea and start a new argument when she's finally gotten me settled. Let's get you dressed, Delia. We'll take one step at a time, together. That night, I do my best to stay awake as long as I can. Falling asleep has become a fearful thing for me, ever since that strange dream where the woman was trying to kill me. I haven't told anyone about the matter, not even dear Annalou. But the woman comes back every night, again and again, wishing for my death. It's yet another part of my life that feels utterly out of control. I know I can't stay awake forever, of course, and yet I can't help being afraid to fall asleep, when every time I do, I'm face to face with an angry woman trying to kill me. The dreams feel so real and vivid that I worry she actually might. Lately, I'm starting to wonder if I should just let her. If she can hasten my end, maybe it would be a relief. I'm so tired and I feel so overwhelmed. Everywhere I turn, there are obstacles, even in sleep. When is it too much? When do I just give up and surrender? I must fall asleep reading in my bed, because the next thing I know, I am back in the darkness. She appears, sneering. I've known you my whole life, she taunts. You don't know me yet, do you? I don't, though she does remind me of myself. Her eyes are a different shade, however, so pale blue that they're almost clear. You're going to remember this, she declares. She lunges forward, squeezing my neck. I don't bother to fight back, surrendering myself to the idea. I can feel the life ebbing away, and it feels almost peaceful. But then I feel my shoulders starting to shake, and the conscious part of my brain realizes that someone is trying to wake me. If they don't, I will die. Or the dream will end, right here, and I will live to do this all over again. Yet, pathetically, I don't know which I'd rather endure. Earth is pretty much a desolate wasteland since the orcs came over from Protheca, and being a woman, the best you can hope is to be someone's property. Now, after my curvy body catches Corthar's eye, he'll claim me, and I'll serve him, in any way he pleases.
You're mine now. Listen to this story and more when you get the complete Orc Warriors of Protheca audiobook and ebook bundle.
40 books, 19 audiobooks, 19 ebooks. You even get one free novella and one free audiobook.
All for a shocking 90% off.
Protheca's magic is eternal, and the complete Orc Warriors of Protheca bundle will bring over 100 hours of that magic to you.
Chapter 31. Thorn. The moon is high outside my study when I finally force myself up from my desk. My joints ache from sitting for so long, and I stretch out, twisting around to relieve some of the pressure that I've put on my body from poring over the books I recently purchased. I've been here since dinner. I've been trying to continue having my meals with Delia in order to coax her into actually eating, no matter how she tries to avoid me. It hasn't gone particularly well, but she is looking better, if only because she eats to get rid of me. That seems to be Delia's primary goal every day, to get as far away from me as possible, and I am doing everything I can to fight against that. She may not want me around, but she cannot accuse me of neglecting her in any way. We only have 2 weeks and 5 days to prepare. I'm starting to doubt we'll be ready, but we must. I scheduled for my father to be away on business for 3 days. It's the only time I'll be able to slip away without his interference. As I leave my office, I stride toward Delia's room. After her escape and her secret meetings, I like to check in on her, and I've noticed that she has fitful nightmares. Most nights I stroke her hair until she settles, though she doesn't know this. It's the only time we get together where she doesn't seem to hate me. I shouldn't long for it the way I do. I've grown rather fond of her, though. I thought my first mate would be someone eager to please that would bore me. But her feisty streak and strong personality have appealed to me in ways I didn't expect. She's still a thorn in my side with her attacking me incessantly and sneaking around with my friend, but I've come to enjoy our relationship. If she'd just let me be near her, it would be enough for me. I cast a spell over her door and floors as I approach so that when I walk in, I am soundless. I don't want to wake her. I just want to see that she is well. She's having one of her nightmares, her sheets drenched in sweat and her limbs jerking wildly. I creep closer, pressing a hand to the mattress and wicking away the moisture with a thought. I wish I could settle her as easily as I can fulfill her other needs, but it seems that magic is not suitable for the heart. Her mind and soul are unattainable to me because I cannot study a way to claim it. She whispers and coughs, her shoulders jerking, and I reach out to stroke her hair. But as she continues to shake and twist, I realize that her chest is not moving. "Delia," I whisper. Her face grows red and she makes a strangled noise. "Delia!" She's not breathing. I grab her shoulders, jerking her and pulling her up. Pressing a hand to her chest, I let my magic flow, and I feel a chilling energy there. There is magic at work that I do not recognize, but it recoils from the chaos magic that floods Delia's torso. As I feel it ebb away, her eyes fly open and she sucks in deep breaths. "Hey," I whisper, shocked by the tenderness in my own voice. "Are you okay?" Delia gulps, nodding, and I want to pull her against me. But as I lean closer, she blinks, fully waking up, and she shoves against my chest. A look of disgust casts across her features, and my heart sinks. "What are you doing here?" I pull back, rolling my eyes and dragging a hand down my face as I huff out. "Making sure you were breathing. You're welcome, by the way." The air between us is filled with tension. "Thanks." To my surprise, her voice is soft, though there is an edge to it. But I'm going back to sleep. Of all the ways she normally kicks me out, this was the nicest. I decide not to argue with her, nodding as I go to leave. The sheets rustle as she settles back in, and I turn back to look at her, her back to me. "If you do need anything," I say so softly, she may not even be able to hear it. "I'm just down the hall." It may be my imagination, but I think she whispers, "Good night, Thorne," and my heart stutters at how sweet my name sounds when she's half asleep. Last night, it seems, has had no effect on our relationship. She still avoids me, still ignores me whenever I seek her out, and she is adamant about throwing me out of her room. She doesn't want to be around me, but I am determined to break down these walls she's trying desperately to build. Delia is looking better, at least. She's eating more, and her skin looks tanned from being outside. I've been able to get her to eat nearly a whole meal each day, and I feel a sense of pride in that. I don't want her dying on me. The problem is now whether or not I'll live until our deadline rather than if Delia will. It's almost cute that she thinks she's being sneaky, but that poison vial she carries around isn't lost on me. I've given her a lot of access to me as we share our meals, but I think it is better for me to see the food come straight from the kitchen while I watch Delia than for it to be delivered to my study. I have to watch her very closely, but where it should enrage me that she is so willing to kill me off, I'm actually impressed by her tenacity. I just want to see her come back out of her shell, and maybe I push her a little too hard just to get a response from her sometimes, but to me it's worth it. Even as we sit silently in the dining hall, I don't regret my choices. She might not want to be around me, which I fully intend to change, but at least she isn't around Ignola. I can tolerate her anger toward me, knowing that the two of them will not be growing any closer. I know they haven't met up again since I had her removed from the garden. My servants have been watching her closely, and between their vigilance and my midnight visits, Delia doesn't make a move without me knowing. That thought alone fills me with guilt, but I don't know what else to do. I need to keep her safe and healthy, and mine. I feel like I have no other option. "Are you going to eat?" I ask her. She's been staring down at her plate the entire time I've been ruminating. She only shrugs and I sigh deeply, waving in the servants. "I'm going to my study. Try to eat something tonight." Delia doesn't even look up as I stand, not moving until I've left the dining room. I glance back just before I turn the corner to see her slip into the hallway, Anulu already waiting for her. At least she is letting someone in that isn't Ignola. Settled behind my desk, I can't focus on the words scrawled before me. It's been like this for a while now. My mind is too preoccupied with Delia, wondering where she is and what she's doing. And if she wasn't distraction enough, a new one presents itself as my study doors swing open without a knock. "Thorn!" he bellows, though he doesn't sound angry. It almost feels unnatural to hear my name not being used as a slur out of his mouth. "Father." I rise, my head slightly bowed. "I've come from the market. Many of my associates have taken note of your mating. It's brought attention to our family." I blink. I've never heard him almost give me a compliment. My heart stutters and I wait, expecting that there must be more to his visit. He would not simply come to tell me I had done something right, would he? It's not good enough. There it is. It has drawn attention, but it has not raised our status in any way. They speak of us, but my trade has not increased. No one has come to the house to visit her. Why did you pick one so boring? Why didn't you do more? I stifle a sigh. "Father, we've only been mated for a short amount of time. Perhaps when we have the first hybrid child on Rach..." "A child? You think that will solve this? To bring another member into this family to learn from you? To learn to be lazy and mediocre?" He scoffs as his words cut deep. "I think it's time that I take matters into my own hands." Just as suddenly as he appeared, he turns on his heel and storms out. I don't call after him, don't say anything at all. I just cross the room, closing my door with a soft click. I'm not sure what he expects from me. I've mated, to a human no less. We are drawing attention to our family and our trade. That's more than enough effort considering I am working toward a bigger goal, one he doesn't know about. I cross to the wet bar along the wall and stare out the window as I drink. Delia isn't near the water tonight, and I'm almost tempted to go out there to find her. I know that I need to give her some space, though, so I force myself back to my desk, clearing my thoughts as I read over the text I've pulled. I'm about to call it a night when a knock sounds at the door. It doesn't sit well with me as I go to open it, and my heart starts to pound when I see Ushur standing there nervously. "What is it?" My voice is a low growl, anger rising to cover the fear pulsing through my body. "It's Delia, sir." My jaw clenches. "What about her?" "She's not in her room." I drag a hand down my face. I was just about to go there. "She's escaped?" Ushur shifts awkwardly and my eyes narrow at him. "No, sir, she hasn't escaped again." "Then where is she?" I demand, leaning over him. He gulps. "She's with him." My heart nearly stops because I know of two hims that are after my wife, and neither of them are good options. My blood turns cold and my chest feels restricted, like I can't breathe. "Who?"
Chapter 32. Delia. "Are you sure it's safe?" I whisper, hovering near the open ledge of my window and peeking outside. My door is closed and locked, but as Thorne has shown me numerous times, that means nothing. Anyone could stride in here. Anilu taught me how to cast a spell over the doorframe, though. It's something she found in the book Thorne gave me. She said she wasn't strong enough to do it, but after several days of attempting, I finally managed to place it. If anyone crosses the threshold, it will alert me. It only holds once and it takes a lot of energy, so I waited until I desperately needed to use it. And when sneaking out, it's absolutely necessary. I told Rincio that Master Thorne needed to see him. A bashful smile breaks out on Anulu's face, and I chuckle. Poor Rincio, I tease, no love lost over the gardener. Anulu only rolls her eyes and ushers for me to get going. You need to hurry before someone does come looking for you. I nod, swiftly sliding out of the window, deftly scaling the side of the manor until I slide to the ground. Tipping my head back, I see Anulu watching from above. She waves at me and gestures for me to go, a bright smile on her face. I turn toward the gardens, my heart picking up. I shouldn't feel so nervous, but I do. And it is not because of Thorne. Being mindful of the window of his study, I stick close to the manor so that he won't see me until I've rounded the side and am out of view. I'm glad I chose not to wear shoes as I run barefoot through the gardens to the back corner that I know is hidden from view of any of the windows. As I reach my favourite spot, my eyes land on the back of a dark elf, the moonlight shining on his dark skin. My breath catches in my throat, and I slow to a timid walk as I approach him. His sensitive hearing must pick up on my footsteps because slowly he turns around. His face splits into a wide smile, and a flush creeps up my skin. That light, fuzzy excitement is already creeping through me. Delia, he breathes. I smirk. Ignola. My stomach twists as I look at him, though I'm not sure why. I look away bashfully, and he closes the distance between us, reaching up to tuck a lock of my hair behind my ear. How are you? His voice is deep and warm, like honey. It feels sticky, and my head feels heavy as I lean into his hand. Do you really want to know? His thumb strokes my cheekbone. Of course I do. I so rarely get to see you. My heart drops at the mention, and I frown. I know. I huff a sigh, pulling away from him a little as my thoughts drift to Thorne's overbearing behaviour. As you can imagine, I haven't been doing well. It feels like everything is falling apart. Ignola creeps closer, cupping my face with both hands. I want to take a step back, but my feet don't obey. No matter what happens, I am not going anywhere. Your company makes it worth it to me, I whisper, barely registering the words myself. He's so close, and I'm sure he can hear how fast my heart is beating. I'm not sure, though, if it's because I want him to touch me like this, or if I'm nervous because I thought we were friends. Why is it falling apart? For a moment, I consider leaning into him. My mind feels so fuzzy, and I don't want to think about what is waiting for me in the manor. I don't want to think about what has been plaguing me. I can't make a move without being watched. I gulp, thinking of the main thing plaguing me. And I've been having nightmares. I squeak out. Delia, he coos, his strong fingers sweeping along my skin. My knees threaten to buckle, his touch surprising me, though he seems to have no intentions of stopping. What kind of nightmares? My jaw clenches as the images flash in my mind, and he notices. Ignola's voice drops into a soft hum, and he pulls me close enough that I'm pressed against him in a hug. It's not sensual, and for a moment, I consider that maybe this whole time, his touch was only meant to be friendly and comforting. That's what I've come to Ignola for, but our visits have left me feeling more and more unsettled. I'm not sure he understands what I need. Does anyone? You don't have to tell me. I know it would be good for me to get it off my chest. They don't feel like dreams, I mumble against his shirt. A woman comes to visit me, but I don't know her. She says she knows me, and then she'll attack me. Ice floods my body, and Ignola runs his hands up and down my arms, smoothing the chill bumps that burst out along my skin. I am so sorry, Delia. I hate that you have to go through that. I shrug, trying to swallow back the fear that creeps in when I think about it. Anulu is there sometimes. She'll sit with me until I fall back to sleep. He pulls back, cupping the back of my head in both hands. His fingers are tangled in my hair, and there's an intensity in the way he says, "I should be there with you." There's no mistaking it now. He's pushing the boundaries of what I thought to be an innocent relationship. We went from walking the gardens arm in arm, and I've explained away every touch. Now I see that he was trying for more. Thorne will be jealous. My heart twinges as I think about it, and guilt tears through me. I want to rip away from Ignola. I shouldn't be here like this. But once again, my body is unresponsive. Despite how angry I am with Thorne, we were building a comfortable camaraderie. I can't lie and say I've never felt this attraction toward him either. But just when we started to get close, I learned the truth. I'm not sure I can ever forgive him and move past it. Besides, Ignola is nothing like Thorne. Ignola and I have an easy relationship, bordering on boring pretenses. We keep our conversations light, simple, but it's also platonic. Thorne may be kind one minute and then brutal the next, and I'm never sure how I feel around him. But I'm never bored, and there is tension, a spark, every time we are together. I shouldn't enjoy the way he pushes me, but I do like the games we play. "Delia," Ignola pulls me from my thoughts. "Are you okay?" The softness of his voice and touch are something that Thorne never gives me. I am a business transaction to him, nothing more, and I see what I could have with Ignola, what he wants from me. Should I give in to this all-encompassing feeling? Is this what it means to be attracted to someone, to feel this pull, this need to comply? "I am now," I whisper, leaning closer to him. My face is so close to his. Ignola leans over me and his eyes dart down to my lips. Should I stop him? We're supposed to be friends. I clench my fists and relax them over and over, not sure how to release this pent-up nervous energy. It feels like my heart is going to stop. I'm so anxious. But I manage to get out. I always am when I'm with you. It was meant to be sweet, to show him how much I value our friendship. Instead, it comes out strangled. "Good," he muses. I can barely contain the emotions pouring through me as Ignola inches closer, his warm breath brushing across my lips. "Shame that Thorne was so vulgar with you on your wedding night," he mumbles, tucking a strand of my hair away. "You should be treated with respect." "H..." I gulp, breathless. He didn't really. It was just a show. Ignola's brow raises, and I think I see a little smirk. "Is that so?" I nod pathetically. I thought I wanted to know what it was like to be touched. Now, I'm realizing I only want to know what it's like for one man to touch me. His eyes are heavily hooded, and I can see the desire clouding them. He wants me, and I'm not sure what I should do. For a moment, I think he's going to kiss me. My brain goes into a panic, the fog growing thicker in my mind. Before he can, though, a soft rustle catches my eye. Ignola hears it just as I do, and he freezes, his head whipping in the direction of the sound. He half shoves my body behind his, and my brain starts to clear. But then I see what made the noise, and my heart nearly stops. My mind is sharp now. I blink, unable to catch my breath. My mind can't reconcile what I'm seeing. My whole body starts to shake, but no matter how long I stare, I can still see it, even after it's long gone. Ignola turns, his eyebrows pinched together in confusion until his gaze drops to me. His arms encircle my shoulders, trying to calm me. "Delia, what did you see?" But the words don't form on my lips. I'm too afraid to say it out loud. If I do, it might make it real. And I don't want to know what will happen to me if it turns out that what I saw is real.
Chapter 33, Thorn. My fear quickly warps into anger as the next word leaves Ushur's lips. Ignola. My vision flashes red, just like the magic curling between the fingers of my balled fists. I nearly strike out at my Zagfer. My jaw is clenched so hard that I fear one of my teeth is going to crack. What is he doing here? Ushur's eyes widen at my tone, and I have to admit that my voice sounded more like a growl to even my own ears. The rage laced in the words is making me unrecognizable. Sir, we don't know how he got on the grounds. We've been keeping a close eye on Delia. And yet you found her in the garden with Ignola. He flinches as I tower over him, my whole body tense. Sir, I don't have time for this! I huff as I storm past him. I need to get to her. Ushur rushes after me, trailing in the wake of my thundering footsteps. As I make it to the gardens, though, I don't know where she is, and he silently takes the lead. I make a mental note as we weave through the gardens, realizing that this spot is blocked from view of the manor. That can be remedied. I feel unusual magic in the air as we get toward the back corner. My affinity for magic and high mastery of it makes me more sensitive to its signatures. This kind makes my skin crawl, and I feel it out, realizing what it is after a moment. Psionic magic. Ignola has always been fascinated with it, and he must have been using it on my wife. I'm going to kill him. As we turn the last corner, I spot Ignola immediately. Shoving past Ushur, I charge at the man I once knew as my friend. What do you think you are doing here? I roar, slamming into him. Ignola takes the blow, stumbling back a few steps. He doesn't look afraid, though, and it only makes me angrier. My magic lashes out, smoky tendrils of chaos magic that he jerks away from. I smile as I see the nausea roil through his body. You may think you are better than me, won't he? I spit the term of endearment at him like an insult. Ignola used to be the closest thing I had to a brother, the very meaning of the world. Now, he is nearing my enemy. But you forget yourself. Through clenched teeth, he hisses, I only came here to talk to Delia. I have not betrayed you. You haven't betrayed me? You've called on my wife in the middle of the night. You've come to do gods know what to her on my land. To talk, Thorne. But now... What do you mean she took off? Fear and anger war for my attention, and blue flames lick up my body. Ignola shrugs. She said she saw a woman, and then she bolted. But I didn't see anything. My magic pours out of me, filling the air. Ushur scrambles back, but it has one target, and it's in the opposite direction. You didn't protect her? His feeble powers flare up to try and protect him. I didn't see anything. Besides, she was headed back to the manor. It will be safer for her in there anyway. It is safer for her. That's why I've tried to protect her, to keep her from wandering the lands in the middle of the night. Yet you have her out here, putting her in danger. She's not in danger with me. Ignola straightens with defiance. She finds comfort in me. My upper lip curls in a snarl. You do not know anything about her. He barks out a harsh laugh. Thorn, friend, I know more about your wife than you do. Tell me, do you know what it's like to cradle her head in your hands, to have her gaze at you with longing? Or does she just occupy your home to raise your family status? His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I feel like I'm going to be sick as the image of Ignola holding Delia like that flashes behind my eyes. She recoils at my touch, but she'd let him caress her the way I've been aching to. The hurt must be written on my face because Ignola's eyes flash with satisfaction. I launch myself at him, tackling him to the ground as my magic swirls around us. I could end him without ever getting close, but I want to feel his pain. I want to inflict it with my hands, to savor making him regret ever crossing me. You speak out of turn, I growl, leaning over Ignola. He's pinned beneath me, but his face is a mask of fury. I've taken Delia as my wife, my mate, and she is that in every way. She isn't a tool, and if you can't see she is more than that, then you are only revealing your true intentions. My only intention with your wife is to show her what it is like to be actually cared for. My voice drops low to a dangerous tone. Do not imply that I do not care for her. You may think you know what is in my heart, but you don't. You may have fallen for her, but I fell first. He watches me, stunned. Not only did I admit my emotions out loud, but I've accused him of developing feelings for my wife, and he isn't denying it. It pushes me over the edge. I rear back, slamming my palm into his face, and Ignola has no choice but to suffer the blow. His nose crunches under my hand, and I grin at the low curses that escape him, the blood smearing across my skin. He tries to buck me off, but I'm settled on top of him too well. He won't be able to get me off, and I land another blow across his cheek. It splits open, and I know that it will swell until his vision is impaired. With dark elf healing capabilities, it'll be gone by tomorrow, but the discomfort will bother him through the night. Ignola turns his head, spitting blood, and I grin wider. I catch him by the throat, slamming his head into the hard ground before lifting him so that we're inches apart. If I catch you on these lands, I'll break your nose in such a way it will never heal. I lean closer, a deep growl working its way into my voice. And if I ever catch you with Delia again, I will rip your eyes out and feed them to the Likar in the woods. Rumor has it that one taste will tune them into your scent, and you won't survive the night, my friend. Ignola's jaw clenches. You don't have it in you. I rise to my feet, lifting him up by his throat. My fingers dig painfully into his skin, and I never break eye contact. Try me. I drop him, and he crumples to the ground. With one last furious glare, Ignola drags himself up and strides off through the gardens toward the exit. I stare after him, my heart pounding. I've been foolish. I've let my jealousy get the better of me, and instead of focusing on truly caring for Delia, I've pried her away from the only support she has and forced her into my solitary lifestyle. I've only given her reasons to hate me, too focused on preserving her instead of cherishing her. Breaks my heart to know what she must think of me, but it will go on no longer. I will be better for her. I will protect and care for her, starting with whatever spooked her. Turning to Ashur, I command. He nods, rushing off to gather my servants and search the woods. I'm tempted to go find Delia, but first, I want to put an end to her fears. I pace the gardens, letting my magic feel out for anything unnatural. There is something lingering in the air, though it is too faint for me to place. It doesn't necessarily feel unwelcome. It's just out of place. The servants search for over an hour before Ushur finally approaches me. I'm already sure I know what he's going to say, having come to the same conclusion. Sir, there are no signs of anyone else on the lands, he says timidly, shifting awkwardly behind me. I sigh through my nose, letting my magic pulse out from me again. I can feel each of my servants' magic signatures, but I can't place the ever-fading pulse that's lingering in the air. No indication anyone was here? No, sir, we'll keep looking, but from what we can see, there was never a woman on the lands. The nervousness in his voice only unsettles me further, as does the way my magic reacts to the signature in the air. I rarely feel uneasy, but right now, I'm on edge. I step out of the gardens, my eyes scanning the tree line as I purse my lips. My heart rate is still too fast, and as more servants filter back to the house to get it ready for the day, it only gets worse. I'm the last to turn away, with Ushur, of course. We found nothing, and just before I leave, I mutter to myself into the mysterious woods. What was it that Delia saw?
Prothika is a dark and dangerous world.
My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
And the quest for godhood has made it even darker.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
Delia only seeks her freedom.
A gilded cage is still a cage.
But Thorn has something else in mind for her.
It's her, She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
Will they be able to escape their fate? Get every episode from worldsofprothika.com right now. Get the series bundle and score a 70% discount. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this series is just the beginning.
Chapter 34. Delia. It's been 2 days since I saw that woman in person, and I've been trying not to sleep. I'm still awake, staring at the moon when I hear soft footsteps outside my door. A knock comes at my bedroom door. There's usually only one individual who comes into my room at this late hour, so I don't turn away from the window as I hear them let themselves in. "Delia," Anulu says quietly. "How are you? Have you been outside today?" "No. There's no point in going to the gardens anymore. Ignola can't stop by like he used to, and I'm not sure I want him to. Things feel weird between us now. I don't have much of a choice, though. All the servants have been whispering about the way Thorne attacked him, and Anulu begrudgingly told me. Not only that, but I'm afraid of the woman from my dreams. I can't find peace, not in my dreams, nor in my reality. I'm stuck in a perpetual cycle of suffering with no clear escape route in sight. At the very least, Thorne has made an effort to spend more time with me. I have to admit that it's probably a challenge trying to talk to me nowadays. I rarely respond to the things he says, and I don't have the heart to look at him directly. Sometimes I feel afraid of what he's capable of. I'm also afraid of letting my emotions spiral out of control. Still, Thorne's presence has chipped away at my loneliness. With Ignola gone, I've needed someone to stay at my side, and he assumed the spot almost immediately. Now, the only problem that remains is my recurring nightmares. Only Anulu knows about that. I've considered telling Thorne, but I don't trust him enough with that intimate information. Not yet. Sure, he's made great strides in our relationship. The schism that existed between him and I doesn't feel as big anymore, thanks to his efforts. Yet, I'm not too sure what to think about him. It troubles me. There might be a catch to his sudden kindness towards me. I need to stay alert. Eat something, at least. I'm not hungry, Anulu. Bringing my knees to my chest, I watch the world outside. Silent and dark. Thank you for offering, though. Anulu sighs, shaking her head. You're going to make yourself sick if you continue like this. I don't think that matters to me anymore, I say, failing at suppressing the yawn that bubbled up my throat. I'm going to bed. She raises a brow, watching as I lower myself from the windowsill and plop onto my bed. I barely have enough energy to lift the covers over myself, so she rounds the bed and assists me. Would you like me to stay close? Anulu whispers, tucking me in. I'm not going to bed for a long while, so I don't mind. Please don't worry about me. Retire to your own bedroom tonight. I snuggle into the pillow and heave a muffled sigh. I'm sick of having people worry about me. Then again, it's my own fault. I'm giving them a plethora of reasons to do so in the first place. All right, good night. I mumble an incoherent response as she leaves the room, evident by the way the food tray clatters and the door gently closes. The days exhaust me, so it's easy to fall asleep. That's something I'm grateful for. I don't spend time staring at the ceiling and thinking about what I could have done better to avoid this situation. Then again, this feels inevitable. I blink a few times, as the world around me transitions from pure darkness to warm light. I sit on a patch of green grass, listening to the water flowing rapidly in a nearby river. Birds and blue skies are above me. Ahead of me, I see a vast expanse of forest. Large trees stand tall against the horizon. Distant animals graze on the grass. It's peaceful. This is what I once dreamed of experiencing while I was still at the dark market, when the only things I knew well were dark walls, dirty floors, and rancid food. I sigh allowing myself to enjoy the sun. The waterfall and the pond in the garden flashes in my mind. I remember feeling the same way then. The sun kissed my skin nicely, and the water encapsulated my body, making me feel safe for the briefest moment. Annalou was at my side, laughing and smiling while I performed tricks for her in the water. I felt happier, much happier than how I feel now. Delia. I look around the space, wondering where that voice came from. I'm imagining things again, I know it. My eyes play tricks on me, making me think things are there when they clearly aren't. This is another one of those cases. Delia. The voice is closer now, strong and firm. Yet I gaze at my surroundings and see nothing. Why am I hearing my name? I want to enjoy some peace, even if it's as small as a grain of sand. Oh, Delia. Why are you ignoring me? That isn't the nice thing to do. My stomach seizes up on me. That voice. I'm starting to recognize it now. Turning around, I finally notice the person who was calling out my name the entire time. She's standing a safe distance away. Dark clothing hugs her body. A small smile tugs at her lips, which causes my heart to hammer wildly against my chest. It's her. It's a shame that I was unable to speak with you directly the last time we saw each other, she says, putting her hands behind her back. It's a shame. Those dark elves were in the way. That's why I like talking to you here. There's no one to obstruct us. What do you want? I grimace at the way the words fall shakily from my mouth. I drag myself across the ground, forcing my nervous limbs to act. Why do you keep chasing me? Who are you? I would have explained everything to you in person, but you didn't let me get the chance. You ran away from me. I'm starting to think that you don't have any manners at all. She tilts her head, a teasing edge to her words. But that's all right. You need to learn from someone. It might as well be me, right? What are you talking about? I rasp, pushing myself to my feet. My knees nearly buckle once I'm standing upright. I don't want to speak to you. Why not? We have a lot to talk about, you know. Was that really you? I ask. My throat is closing in on me. In the garden? When I was with Ichnola. A devious grin spreads on her face. I travelled all that way to see you, Delia. You didn't make an attempt to speak to me. No. She clicks her tongue and shakes her head. Instead, you ran away and let those dark elves get in the way of our conversation. It's a shame. I thought you were smarter than that. How do you know so much about me? Want to find out? The woman raises her palms, energy flashing from her digits. Crackles of lightning sound off in the distance. Above us, the blue skies disappear as grey clouds swarm into the scene. Would you like to spend some time with me, Delia? No. I sprint towards the forest, hearing my heart in my ears with each step I take. Behind me, I sense that she's following close. Flashes of magic dart past my head and collide violently with the trees that surround us. Gods, she wants to hurt me. Stop running, Delia. Is that the only thing you know how to do well? Run away from your problems? She cackles loudly, sending 3 more streams of magic in my direction that slam against a tree trunk, culminating in a fiery explosion of flames. There's going to come a time where you need to face your problems head-on, not run away like a coward. Shut up, I want to say, but I'm too out of breath to muster the words. I snake my way through the trees, nearly tripping a few times. Branches cling onto my clothing and roots sprawl out from the ground, trying to grab my ankles and wrestle me downwards. I narrowly dodge the obstacles, but my luck is close to running out completely. Glancing over my shoulder, I nearly vomit. She's gaining on me. You're a damn child, Delia. Do you know that? Has anyone ever told you how obnoxious you are? I don't want anything to do with you. Leave me alone. Can't do that, she says. I've got some unfinished business with you. My palms glow with red and orange light. It's a hasty decision, but I aim my hands behind me and allow the magic to course freely out of my hands. I can't see what I'm doing, but the woman yelps and gasps in response to my powers. What the? Leave me alone. The forest is thinning out. Ahead, I see a vast clearing. There's nothing to protect me against the woman who wants my head, so I need to trust myself and my powers instead. Turning around completely, I catch her just as she's coming out of the forest. I raise my hands. Power surges through my body, down my arms and into my hands, where they're awaiting their anticipated release. She pauses, staring at me with wide eyes. For a moment it strikes me that I've seen that look before. Delia. The woman raises her hands too. Delia! Violent trembles overwhelm me, starting at my shoulders. An unknown force. I stare at the woman, knowing that she's the cause of all this chaos, but there's confusion marked on her features. I don't know what's going on, and neither does she. Delia. This huge orc brings out the animal in me.
In a world where humans have been driven underground, living like rats is the only way to stay safe from the marauding orcs.
All my life, my only job has been to make sure I have enough to eat.
These orcs of the Burning Sun clan will vow to keep their human mates safe.
There is a nobleness to these giant savages. Alpha male warriors who will protect their women at all costs.
Get this complete series of books following the Burning Sun clan for 70% off. Each book is a full-length monster romance that features a giant orc with eyes for his beloved, curvy human. Happily ever after guaranteed.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
This bundle will show you that size really does matter. Chapter 35. Thorn. What in the abyss is that noise? At first I ignored those strange sounds, but now it's getting too unbearable to sleep through. They're coming from me doors, so it's not like I can lay here and pretend everything is all right when it's clearly not. Slipping out of bed, I make my way toward the door. I'm also wondering where Ashur is and why he allowed something like this to happen in the first place. Nothing prepares me for what I see once I open the door. Delia nearly falls into the room, tripping over her own feet. It doesn't take me long to realize that this girl was banging her body against my bedroom door this entire time. What the... Delia? She doesn't respond to me, so I lean over and try to look her in the eyes. Delia, what's going on with you? Are you all right? Delia! Taking her by the shoulders, I soon realize that her eyes are glossed over completely, and her mouth is somewhat ajar. She doesn't react to anything that I'm saying. Damn, she's sleepwalking. Is this a side effect of the psionic magic Ignola was wielding over her? Is she having some type of adverse reaction? Delia! I shake her by the shoulders, wondering what I should do to break her trance. I've read about cases like this before, but since they're exceptionally rare, I've never experienced someone sleepwalking in my presence before. It's incredibly eerie. There's no light behind her eyes. Delia! Where am I? Delia whispers. What happened? You were sleepwalking. Here, come sit. You must be exhausted. Oh, it's okay. I don't need to... It's not a request. I'm telling you to sit, and you're going to obey me. Delia's jaw clenches, but she doesn't argue. Instead, she allows me to guide her to the edge of my bed, where she takes a seat and fixes her eyes on the floor. There's hesitation on my part, but I decide to sit next to her and place a hand on her shoulder. Are you all right? I'm fine, thank you. Delia subtly shrugs my hand away. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about me. I scoff. Are you serious? You were sleepwalking. So? It's rare to see someone sleepwalking. It's often indicative of a more serious issue. Were you having a nightmare? What does that matter? Delia snaps. It's done and over with. I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. Can I leave? Despite the worry gnawing at my gut at the idea of Ignola still having some sick hold over her, my eyes narrow. She's hiding something. Whether it's something to do with Ignola or something else, I don't have a clue. Not until you tell me what's going on with you. As her jaw locks, I soften my voice. Please. Delia tries to stand up, but I take her wrist and guide her back onto the bed. She doesn't fight against my hold, which is promising. Still, it's clear that she would much rather be in her own bedroom rather than mine. That stings. There's nothing to say, she replies, shaking her head. I'm serious. There's nothing going on with me. Have you eaten a meal today? Yes, I have. I know that's a lie, but she says it with enough resolution that it's easy to mistake it for the truth. Trembling hands say otherwise. All my hard work is being undone as she reverts back to starving herself. Anulu sends food to my room periodically, even when I don't come out to eat with you in the dining room. That should be enough. I still worry about you. You rarely go outside anymore, and it's causing your skin to become pale. See? I lift up her arm and trail my finger across her skin. She pulls away. I don't want anything bad happening to you. I want to take care of you if you'll let me. No. Delia gnaws on her bottom lip. I don't need to be taken care of. I'm fine just the way I am. I'll repeat it as many times as I have to. Delia, I say, reaching out and taking her hand in mine. She allows the gesture. Do you believe me when I say that I care about you? Silence. She clears her throat and fiddles with her fingers. Only her knuckles make noise as she cracks each of them before giving me an answer. I do. I want to. Really? Yes. That would be a cruel thing to lie about. Well, you can rest easy knowing that I mean what I say. I want the best for you. It's not even because I'm protecting my investment. Yes, I need her healthy for the sake of the prophecy, but there's something else that prompts me to want to take care of her. I've grown fond of her. I like having her around. Talking with her brings a happiness to me that I have not felt for the longest time. Would it be all right if I had a servant watching over you? Delia scrunches her face up, which makes me chuckle. It's clear that she doesn't like the idea, but that doesn't matter. I need to make sure that this girl doesn't starve herself in protest or something ridiculous like that. Why? I already have Anulu looking after me. I don't think I need anyone else. Yes, Anulu is a capable servant, but she's too soft on you. I need someone who is going to remind you of the bare necessities. You know, like eating, bathing, and spending time outside. You're going to wither away if you keep spending your days indoors. I like the comfort of my bedroom, she mumbles, crossing her arms over her chest. I roll my eyes. Don't you miss the way the sun lands on your skin whenever you're in the gardens? Or what about the pond and the waterfall? I still think about what happened the last time we spent time there together. Don't remind me, she whispers. Her cheeks glow red. As you wish, I reply with a grin on my lips. I'll make sure you have an extra servant tending to your needs. I hope you realize that I'm not trying to control you. I want to make sure you're all right at every hour of the day, even when you're asleep. The back of my hand trails along her cheek, brushing away her hair strands and tucking them behind her ear. Her skin is smooth to touch. I pull away first, so I don't have to deal with the heartache of seeing her shy away from my hand. Get some rest if you can, I say. Thank you for talking with me. I appreciate that. Delia nods. Tentatively, she mumbles, Thank you for listening. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask me. I won't. She will, but that's all right. She doesn't trust me just yet, but I'm working on it. Little by little, day by day. When she leaves the room, she disappears quietly. I barely hear the door click shut behind her. Once she's gone, I lay down on my bedsheets and sigh loudly. I rub my hands into my eyes until I see colors and shapes flash behind my lids. What's going on with me? I care about her, and it hurts me to see that she doesn't want much to do with me. It feels wrong to force her to speak to me and interact with me, but what other choice do I have? She's not going to pay attention to me otherwise, and she lives in my damn house. It was difficult enough to get her to trust me before Ignola's meddling, but now I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to, if any of his psionic abilities still linger in her mind. A part of me wants to tell Delia about Ignola's use of magic, to reveal him for the bastard he is, so I don't have to live in his shadow in her mind any longer. But I don't know that I have it in me. She's already suffered so much, grappling with so many things. Robbing her of someone she believed to be her friend, however well-intentioned, still feels wrong. My head lolls to the left, where I notice a sole glass of water left unattended on an end table. I reach out to it, intending to gulp down all of its contents in one go, but I freeze up. Then I stare down at the liquid, slight bubbles coursing up to the surface. I wasn't paying attention to this glass once Delia entered. What if... My chest seizes up. No, it can't be. She wouldn't. We grew past that unfortunate situation. I know we have. Yet the fear remains in my heart. I set the glass down and pace the room, running a hand through my hair as I consider my next move. What if she did it? Is it possible that she slipped it into my drink while I spoke earnestly about wanting to care for her? I would have noticed. I'm sure I would have, but I was too transfixed by her presence that I didn't think about the lingering contempt she must feel for me. Damn it! I burst out of the room, flagging down the nearest servant who was walking by with fresh towels in his hands. He enters the room promptly. What's wrong? Do you need something? Yes, I do. Set those down for a moment. I need you to do me a favor. Anything, sir. The servant's name is Drevrod, one of my more loyal Zagfer. He sets down the towels and straightens out his clothing. What do you need? Drink that. His eyes land on the water glass. Sir? Drink the water. Aye. He swallows thickly, perhaps knowing where I'm going with this. Okay. He takes the glass in his hand and gives me a worried glance before downing half of the water in one motion. My heart is in my throat, waiting for a negative reaction. Any at all. I prepare myself for the worst. Meanwhile, my servant stares at me with wide eyes. He clutches the glass tightly in his hand. Silence engulfs the room as we both wait. Fear lingers behind his eyes, but I don't give him an explanation for what's going on. We simply wait for him to die.
Chapter 36. Delia. The next night, it's happening again. She's in my dreams. Only this time, I'm doing everything I can to fight back against the spells she's throwing at me. There are times when I think I'm gaining the advantage, pushing her back further into the forest while she deflects my shaky attacks that barely do any damage. Still, I drive her backward, which is a good thing. Most of the time, she's the one chasing me and taunting me with her magic. Things are flipped this time around. You're getting much better at this than I realised, the woman says, sending me a smirk before I'm barraged with a stream of magic that knocks me into a tree and momentarily steals the breath from my lungs. It's impressive. You're not as useless as you look. Gritting my teeth, I retaliate with an earth-shaking spell that makes her lose her balance once my foot slams against the ground. It gives me the opportunity to strike her with a rush of air that topples her over. Even still, she uses her magic to save her from a humiliating fall. Then she retreats further behind the trees. I follow her, weaving my way through the trees. She cackles every so often, which precedes an abrupt ball of energy that is sent barreling toward my head. I dodge them each time since they're getting predictable at this point. She's resorting to familiar tactics that I'm picking up on. Come on, Delia! Her voice rings through the trees, echoing loud enough to make the birds in the canopies scatter in all directions. You can do better than that, I know you can. In frustration, I create a huge energetic mass of fire and steam. Then, the mass erupts from my two palms and sears its way through the distance separating us. The woman yells and flings herself out of the way, watching as the mass scorches everything in its path. Thankfully, this is only the dreamscape. None of this is real, besides the witch who torments me no matter the time and place. This ends here. I'm going to make sure of that. Oh, Delia, I can see you're getting angry with me. You've never used a spell like that before. Who are you? I yell, feeling the words scald my throat. What do you want from me? Why do you keep bothering me when I've done nothing wrong to you? She only laughs and continues running through the trees. I'm seeing red. The only thing left to do is destroy this woman, whoever she is. Enough is enough, and she's had her opportunity to leave me alone. She leaves me with no other choice. Why are you causing this? I ask, flinging sharp bolts of magic in her direction. I punctuate every other word with another spell. Why can't I ever have a decent night of sleep with you around? I promise you, she says, sounding somewhat out of breath. Am I getting to her? Everything will be revealed to you soon. Everything. As long as you keep it up. Keep what up? She disappears behind some more trees, and I feel like tearing out the hairs in my head. Get back here! The anger coursing through my body is causing me to use spells that I've never tried before. They were lying dormant within my soul, only waiting for the right opportunity to burst out of my palms and destroy the surroundings. I'm bad at aiming the spells directly at her, instead harming the flora that encapsulates us. Still, the woman whistles low. Have you been practicing your magic, Delia? I don't remember all this. Shut up, I exclaim, growing tired of her incessant taunts. Shut up! Oh, sweetheart, I hit a nerve with that one, didn't I? Something snaps within me. I reach down into the earth and focus on tearing the ground apart, which creates a large crack extending from underneath my feet toward the spot where she stands. She gasps and moves out of the way, but stares at me with wide eyes after she realizes what I've done, and what I'm capable of doing. Damn, she whispers, before darting in the other direction. I scared her. I could see it in her eyes. Shudders of excitement surf down my spine, realizing that I'm gaining on her. Like a predator cornering its prey, I'm narrowing down on the woman who has done nothing but torture me these last few weeks. She's the reason why I dread going to sleep at night. She's the reason why there's no light in my eyes anymore. Well, one of them. She's going to get what's coming to her. Just wait until I get my hands on her. I'm fixated on catching her. I don't realize that our surroundings are changing. I don't notice how she's leading me somewhere dark, a place where the light no longer spears through the canopies of the trees above. Ignoring the ache in my chest and the way my limbs beg for rest, I push forward through the forest. The woman glances over her shoulder occasionally. She doesn't carry a smug smile anymore. Instead, I notice wide and fearful eyes and a panicked frown as she pushes herself to run through the trees and match my pace. Should I stop? The question pops into my mind. What if I seriously hurt her? I already know that she's real. Can an injury in the dreamscape affect her in reality? Well, there's only one way to find out for sure. I intend to test my questions with a little trial and error. Magic bubbles in my chest, itching for a way to escape from my body. My palms illuminate with energy, reds and oranges. They crackle and burst as the hairs along my skin raise to full attention. The woman skids to a stop, hissing in a breath as she nearly falls over a cliff. Her feet drag against the ground, sending small pebbles over the cliff and tumbling below down the chasm. Something strange happens. I no longer sense fear coming from the witch. When she turns around to face me, there's an eerie smile on her face. One where the mouth is grinning, but her eyes, there's nothing behind them. I pause abruptly, unsure of whether to come closer or not. Even when I have the upper hand on this woman, she still manages to scare me. Why are you doing this to me? I ask, doing my best to make sure my voice doesn't crack, but the words waver. My hands fall limply at my sides. What do you want? Can you tell me? I already told you how things were going to play out, Delia. I'm glad you followed me here. We will take the next steps together soon. Next steps? What are the next steps? I inch closer. You haven't stopped bothering me since that very first night I saw you. She crosses her arms over her chest and nods along, as if she's waiting for me to get my tirade out of my chest in order to make remarks of her own. You've appeared in my dreams, and you appeared at the manor where I was able to see you. What are you? Are you real? Of course I am. I wouldn't have appeared to you directly if I wasn't. Why aren't you telling me the reason why you're after me then? Why have you appeared to me so many times? Do you want to hurt me? Kill me? The woman sighs. She closes her eyes and shakes her head. I wonder if my questions irritate her in some way. I hope they do. She deserves a world of annoyance for what she's done to me. Why don't you tell me your name? I press. Where are you from? Why are you here? Why did you lead me to this place? There's a reason for everything, right? So why can't you tell me yours? You're a curious girl, she says wistfully, staring at me with half-lidded eyes as she tinkers on the edge of the cliff. Were you always like this, when you were growing up with your... I'm not going to answer your questions. You need to answer mine. She huffs out a laugh, but doesn't respond. Instead, she looks across the cliff towards the other side of the abyss. Her back is towards me, so I wonder if I should take the opportunity to strike. It would be so easy. Too easy, in fact. Something makes me hesitate, however. I'm afraid of hurting her, for one reason or another. I've never done that to someone before, so it doesn't feel right. She's done a lot of damage to me, both physically and psychologically. Deep down, I know that I should want to fling her off the cliff. Despite the fact that this is a dream, I still can't muster the courage to sprint forward and get the job done. I can't do it. My hands are trembling violently and my eyes fill with tears. The woman sighs happily. Well, if you say so. Huh? My eyes widen, horrified by the way our surroundings dissolve into black. She disappears and it feels as if I'm falling through space. I lurch upwards, gripping at my chest. Panting heavily, I gaze at my surroundings and realise that I'm not in my bedroom anymore. I'm seated on grass in the middle of a forest with no one else around. Moonlight pierces through the canopy, letting me know it's still nighttime. Darkness and gloominess swarm around me, sending chills down my spine. What happened? And where am I? From the depths of the darkness of Prothika,
or clawing up from the realms of fantasy,
come the most fearsome beasts you have ever seen.
these monsters are done watching from the shadows.
Now, as they step into the light, something unexpected grips them.
Something even they can't fight off.
Love,
Vampires,
demons,
dark elves,
gods.
minotaurs, creatures of light and dark.
They will protect their mates.
Do whatever needs to be done.
Morally grey heroes who will burn the world to protect the women who love them.
10 audiobooks,
Fall into over 60 hours of fantasy romance.
20 ebooks,
Over 1 million words of these brutes who will protect their women.
even if they might destroy themselves in the process.
Get the immersive Prothika fantasy romance bundle.
For 80% off, right now, dive into Prothika at a once-in-a-lifetime discount.
The first bundle to offer both ebooks and audiobooks on worldsofprothika.com. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this romantasy bundle will make it endless.
Chapter 37. Thorn. Tell me more about her, I say, gazing at Anulu while I flip through my books. It's been 2 days since Delia came to my room sleepwalking, and I've been thinking it over since. I want to know what's going on with her. I miss her, and I have to find a way to get her to open back up to me. We only have 2 weeks until we leave, and I can't miss our window of opportunity. I would like to know more. Am I in trouble? Anulu asks with a slight waver in her voice. She stands with her hands behind her back, chin upturned. If I've done anything to offend you, I am deeply sorry. I won't ever do such a thing again. What? I chuckle, shaking my head. What a silly Zagfer. No wonder she makes Delia laugh that hard. You're not in trouble at all. In fact, I should commend you. You've spent a lot of time with Delia, and you've helped her adapt to a drastic change in lifestyle. She bows her head. Thank you. And I know that you're her closest companion, I continue, leaning back in my seat. For that reason, I'm curious to know more about Delia. It's a shame that I don't know as much as I should, even though she's my wife. Yes, I've been wondering about that. All of this seemed a bit rushed, don't you think? From finding her to marrying her, I shoot her a look and she clamps her mouth shut. Forgive me. I shouldn't have said a thing. It's all right, Anulu. You have a point, actually. Due to the nature of our relationship, I've neglected one of the most important things about a marriage. I sigh. I know next to nothing about her. I don't even know the simplest things. Things like her habits, her likes, and her dislikes. I've made estimated guesses about a lot of things about her up until now, but I want to learn more. She fascinates me. Anulu smiles, trying to hide it by pressing her lips together. Then she nods toward my books. Are you trying to study her like you study those scrolls all day? It's not a bad thing to want to learn more about your mate. Of course, she says. But I want to make sure that you're going to treat her in a respectful way, not as some plaything that you can use and throw away for your ulterior motives. I raise a brow. Are you demanding things of me, Anulu? No, sir. I would never do such a thing. You can do whatever you want. I don't have plans to stop you. She raises her hands up in defeat. Then her eyes flicker toward mine. I'm just advising you to make the right decisions when it comes to Delia. That's all. She's a strong woman. I know that. I'm no stranger to her fiery attitude. I like the fact that Anulu cares deeply for Delia and her well-being. It seems like the Zogfer and I share one crucial thing in common. We want the best for Delia, and we are willing to move lands, seas, and mountains to accomplish that. I called you in so that you can help me with some plans of mine. Is Ushur not available for this? He doesn't know Delia as well as you do. I rise from my seat, rounding the desk so that I can lean on the edge of it while speaking to Anulu. I want to prepare a nice breakfast for her and take it to her room. I don't know what her favorite meals are. Could you help me with that? Certainly, she says with a nod. I'd love to help you. She hesitates for a moment, which makes me perk my brow. Is there a reason why you're behaving this way? Not that it's bad or anything, but I'm curious. You've never taken initiative like this before. I smile. Things are going to change around here, Anulu. I've realized that I need to be a more stable presence in Delia's life. I worry about her sometimes. I don't want her making decisions that will put her in danger. You have a point, she mumbles, turning away. She's too hard on herself. Does she eat the meals you bring her? Sometimes I have to remind her to eat, otherwise she can go the whole day without pecking at some food. Instead, she spends her time gazing out the window. Have you forbidden her from going outside? Not at all. I've encouraged her to go back to that pond where you brought her the first time. Anulu's shoulders sink. I'm sorry about that. There's no need to apologize again. I should thank you for coming up with that idea. I had a lot of fun that day. I think Delia might have enjoyed it too, she admits in a quiet voice, keeping her eyes on her feet. I understand that there's some tension between you and her at times, so I think it's good that you want to mend your relationship with Delia. She's going to appreciate it, I know she will. Does she... The words catch in my throat, making it difficult to speak. I'm amazed by how much this possibility affects me. Does she still think about Enola? Anulu's eyes widen. As in, does she miss the time she spent with him in the past? Does she miss their meetings? I don't think I'm the right person to answer that question, she stammers. I had a feeling that Anulu wasn't going to give me a response to that one. She's far too loyal to Delia at this point, so I wouldn't be able to coax that information even if I tried. I don't plan on hurting or intimidating Anulu either. She's loyal and kind with a heart of gold, rare among our kind. There's a reason why Delia clung to her when she arrived and hasn't let go. I'd probably do the same if I was in her position. That's all right. Don't worry about it. I crack my knuckles and straighten up. There's no need to dwell on the past. That's useless. What matters is the future. So, what does she like to eat for breakfast? Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Delia hadn't poisoned the water glass. I want to gain her trust now that I know that she's not out to kill me anymore. I've messed up with her in the past, so I want to make up for it. If I need to put in the effort to ensure Delia trusts me, so be it. It's a task I'm willing to take on. Thankfully, I have someone like Anulu on my side, who explains to me everything I need to know in order to make Delia happy. More often than not, Anulu slips in a few jokes that relaxes the tension I feel in my body. She's great at that. She wants the best for the people around her, and I can feel myself changing. I'm trying to be kinder, to be around not just Delia but the others in the manor. I've never been so talkative or vulnerable to my staff, but I don't think it's such a bad thing. Like this? I ask, showing Anulu the attempt at making Delia's favorite dish. I'm not a cook like Machado. I don't know much about the ingredients I need, how to cut certain things, and the proper way to organize food around a plate. All of this is beyond my skill set. Anulu taps a finger on her chin, narrowing her eyes at my plate. Taste it. What? Taste it? How else are you supposed to know if the food is good or not? Machado does it all the time. Following her advice, I take a nibble on the food and grimace immediately. I shake my head. Something is missing from this. Spices! Did you add the spices? You can't expect to have a good meal if you don't add any seasoning. This is the first time I've done this in a long time, Anulu. That's no excuse for a seasonless meal. Anulu and I experiment with a few more ingredients, coming to a compromise about a few things. Delia is a sucker for sweet things, and she loves the way Machado arranges the food, so I mimic him as best as I can. Anulu gives her input all the way through, giving me encouraging remarks as I figure this out. In the end, I stare down at my dish and beam with pride. Anulu pats me on the arm. She's going to love this! Have you seen her this morning? I ask, carefully placing the plate on a silver tray. I hurry around the kitchen, searching for a glass. I want to surprise her, so it's best if she's not awake just yet. I haven't visited her yet. None of the other servants have since she's still asleep. Would you like me to? No, don't do that. It'll be too suspicious. Suspicious? Anulu laughs. I've never seen you stress out about something like this before, sir. Delia has you wrapped around her finger, doesn't she? Don't push it, Anulu. Pouring some water into the glass, I then set the drink beside the plate. It looks perfect. Yes, it does. Are you going to bring it over right now? Before the food gets cold, yes. We spent far too much effort to let this meal go to waste. I pick up the tray, balancing it on one hand. Anulu assists by opening the kitchen door. Go to your chores. I want this morning alone with Delia. I can't wait to hear about it! Anulu waves and runs off in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, I head for Delia's room, giddy with excitement. She's going to like it, Anulu assured me she will. I want to see the look on her face once she realizes what I've done. It'll be a sight for sore eyes, that's for sure. Delia? I knock on her bedroom door. When she doesn't answer, I smile. She's still sleeping. For that reason, I let myself in, hoping to see her sprawled out in bed. Instead, I'm faced with an empty room and an untouched bed. No Delia in sight. The window is open with a cold breeze that courses in to whip the curtains violently. Just like that, the food tray falls from my limp hands. Food and drink splatter against the floor in a clamorous heap. She's gone.
Earth is pretty much a desolate wasteland since the orcs came over from Protheka, and being a woman, the best you can hope is to be someone's property. Now, after my curvy body catches Korthar's eye, he'll claim me, and I'll serve him, in any way he pleases.
You're mine now. Listen to this story and more when you get the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka audiobook and ebook bundle.
40 books, 19 audiobooks, 19 ebooks. You even get 1 free novella and 1 free audiobook.
All for a shocking 90% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal, and the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka bundle will bring over 100 hours of that magic to you. Chapter 38. Delia. I'm in trouble. I can't recognize my surroundings, and I'm too confused to understand what's happening. Still reeling from the nightmare I just woke up from, I take a moment to gather my thoughts and level my breathing. I don't realize that I'm crying until I raise a hand to my face, wiping away the tears. What am I supposed to do now? In the distance, I hear something akin to crackling. A door opens and shuts. My breath hitches in my throat and I refuse to move. It's difficult to distinguish whether this is still a dream or not. And for my own sake, I'm desperately hoping it is. Reality, however, has different plans for me. Delia. My head turns towards the source of that voice. It can't be. This has been a long time coming, she says, opening her arms wide as she exits a small cabin. You have no idea how long I've waited for this moment to come. No, I mumble under my breath. Without thinking, magic explodes from my hands and towards the woman. The momentum sends me spiraling backward, and I scramble to try and find a way out of the forest, but she's more agile than she is in my dreams. She beats me to it, forming a barrier in front of me that I inadvertently slam into as I try to get away. Gripping my abdomen, I writhe on the ground while she laughs somewhere behind me. Then she hums softly. It kills me to know how amused she is by this situation, by my suffering. Things are different now, she says. You're into my territory I held back with you when we were in the dreamscape, but I have no plans to do the same anymore. How is that possible? I rasp, pushing myself to sit upright. I watch her movements, careful for any sudden jolts on her part. How did I get here in the first place? Did you really think I wasn't going to take advantage of the fact that you're a sleepwalker? She clicks her tongue and shakes her head. That would have been idiotic of me. You left that manor of your own accord. It made my job a whole lot easier. Your job? Magic shoots towards my body, and I lunge out of the way, landing on my side. To retaliate, I send darts of yellow magic out of my palms that narrowly miss her head and explode into a tree trunk behind her. I can't do the same spells as I can in the dreamscape. It's not coming out of me. Frustrated? The woman smiles, huffing out a breath as she flicks her hair behind her shoulder. Scared? Who are you? I don't truly expect her to answer me. My name is Nimue Lavena, she says, bowing low in a dramatic fashion that makes my jaw clench and fists ball up. It's a pleasure to meet you, Delia Wraith. I don't go for the obvious question of how she knows my name. Instead, I demand, why are you tormenting me? Slowly, I rise to my feet, while Nimue revels in the moment. She enjoys making a mockery of me. I was tasked with finding you, she begins, rubbing her hands together, a relatively benign gesture. It took me a long time to find out where you were holed up, but once I did, I needed to speak to you. Push came to shove, as you know by now, and I figured out a way to get you out of that dark elf's manor. Quick thinking on my part, wouldn't you agree? Who sent you? I press. A surge of energy erupts from her palms, coursing through the ground and knocking me off my feet. The subsequent tremors make it difficult to stand upright, so I grip tightly upon a tree trunk and wait for the shaking to stop. That's when I realise that the onslaught isn't going to cease just because I'm winded. Nimue wants me dead. The glint in her eyes craves bloodlust. She's a relentless attacker, something I should have anticipated from my fights with her in my nightmares. Sending me backward with each spell, she cripples my stamina and hinders my ability to respond quickly to her attacks. She's going to kill me. I don't have the strength or experience to fight back against an experienced magic wielder like her. She's skilled in the chaos magic she wields, and she has too big of an ego to lose against someone like me. Thorne. What would he think? What would he tell me to do? You're a better opponent in the dreamscape, I'll tell you that. Nimue taunts as I hide behind a tree trunk and catch my breath for a few moments. There's more fire to your movements when you're fighting me there. What happened to you, Delia? You caught a taste of a real battle and fled with your tail between your legs. That's not it, I say softly. I can barely recognise you. Nimue laughs. You're not as powerful as I thought you were. You're going to be easy to carve up. Rage bubbles in the white-hot embers of my soul, coursing up through my chest and into my hands. I've never experienced a feeling like this before. A sensation of pure energy emanating from my body as I let the magic collect in my digits. She doesn't know a thing, but she keeps taunting me, laughing at my abilities, as if she knew without a doubt that I would pose no danger to her. Emerging from behind the tree, I point my hands at Nimue and unleash the magic that built in my palms. White heat explodes from my digits and hits her square in the chest, sending her flying back. Her limbs flail wildly as she tries to stabilise herself, but I push forward until she's skidding across the ground. I grimace at the sounds she's making. She yells out, cursing under her breath. What the? Nimue gawks at her hands, reddened from the impact. What did you do? I pull my hands away. The spell ends, but the effects remain. Nimue gasps, trying her best to use magic, but the only thing coming out of her palms is smoke. She's desperate. Then she stares up at me with glossy eyes. Why didn't she tell me? What? My face wrinkles up in confusion. This woman is an enigma, a labyrinth that I have yet to understand. What are you talking about? That magic, that spell, it's... Nimue mumbles a few things under her breath, and I'm too far away to catch the words. It's... I can't believe it. I approach her carefully. What are you rambling about? Don't. Nimue lifts a hand. Don't come near me. Why are you barking demands at me? Just a few moments ago, you were confident in your abilities to destroy me. Nimue clutches her chest. I was never told that you... I raise a brow, waiting for an answer that is never going to come. She trails off and looks away, biting her lip. She refuses to look me in the eyes. Every now and then, I see her lift up her hands and try to use her magic again, but it's gone, at least for the moment. What did I do to her? Are you all right? I call out, feeling a sudden pity for the woman. Are you hurt? Nimue heaves out a dry laugh, followed by a sickly cough. Why are you asking me such things? I thought you wanted to kill me. Go on, get the job done. This is what you've been waiting for. Don't try to tell me otherwise, because I won't believe you, Delia. I never wanted to kill you, I say. I never thought I'd ever get this far with her in the first place. Now that she's on her knees before me, vulnerable and despondent, I'm not sure what my next moves are. I don't want to hurt you. I'm confused. I want to understand why this is happening in the first place. Yeah, well, some of us have the same questions as you do. Just then, her magic returns. A small, fiery plume emerges from her hand, and Nimue closes her eyes, sighing. Her hand bunches into a fist and she brings it to her lips. She's breathing slowly now. You've already seen that I'm capable of crippling you, I say, with a newfound confidence. I can take away your magic. Do you even know the spell you used to do that? Nimue asks, sending me a pointed look. You have no technique, no control over your own magic. It's ridiculous how powerful you've become regardless of that. I'm learning. I smile. And since you've already admitted that I'm powerful, why don't you cooperate with me then? Answer my questions. Why are you here? Why have you been attacking me? Are you seriously not going to kill me? After all I've done? You deserve it, I reply brusquely. But I don't want to do that. I'm not a killer. Nimue huffs out a breath and rolls her eyes. I see. You're too morally upstanding to finish me off. I need answers from you. Why would I kill you when I still have so many questions? I do too, she says, groaning as she rises to her feet. You know, I was tasked with finding my sister. I didn't think I was going to find the chosen one, so this comes as a surprise. It seems to me like they're the same person. My eyes widen at her flippant words as they sink in. Sister.
Hey there, Prothekans. Delia's worst nightmares just became her waking reality. Nimue isn't just a phantom haunting her dreams. She's real, dangerous, and claiming to be her sister. Meanwhile, Thorne's jealousy may have cost him the chance to keep Delia safe, and Ignola's betrayal still lingers in the air. Will Delia's growing powers be enough to face Nimue? Or is she about to learn the truth about her destiny the hard way? Find out in the next episode of Fated to the Dark Elf.